Aluka Zoldyck, a member of the infamous Zoldyck family, is one of the most enigmatic characters in Hunter x Hunter. Aluka is the second youngest of Silva and Kikyo Zoldyck's children, and she possesses one of the most unique and terrifying abilities in the series. Aluka is not an end user in the traditional sense. Instead, she hosts a mysterious entity known as Nanika, which translates to something in Japanese. Nanika grants Aluka the power to fulfill any wish, but this ability comes with severe consequences. Aluka's ability, often referred to simply as wish granting, functions through a complex system of requests and rewards. When Nanika takes over, it makes a series of requests to the person interacting with Aluka. If the requests are fulfilled, Nanika can grant any wish, no matter how impossible it may seem. However, if someone fails to fulfill Nanika's requests, the consequences are deadly, often resulting in the death of the person who made the wish and their loved ones. The difficulty of Nanika's requests increase with the magnitude of the previous wish, and the greater the wish, the greater the potential consequences. For example, after Nanika granted a wish requiring a large amount of money, likely millions of dollars, the next person to deal with Nanika was asked for their vital organs. This being an impossible request to fulfill, resulted in the person being squished flat, along with people close to her. Aluka's upbringing in the Zoldyck family was far from ordinary. Her unique abilities made her both feared and isolated within the family. Most of her family members, including her father Silva, referred to her as a thing rather than a person, and she was kept under strict surveillance. However, Aluka's relationship with her older brother Killua was notably different. Killua treated Aluka with loving care. And at this point it's worth noting that Aluka is a biological male, but prefers to be called a female, Killua being the only one to comply with this request. Aluka's abilities come to the forefront during the chairman election arc, where Killua seeks her help to save Gon, who is on the verge of death after his battle with Neferpito. Killua, knowing the risk involving Aluka's power, makes careful requests to Nanika to ensure that Gon is healed without causing harm to others. It's revealed that because Aluka and Nanika love Killua, he can demand wishes instead of requesting them, essentially allowing him to make any wish without repercussions. Binault is a blacklist hunter and a wanted criminal for committing murders without any apparent reason. He's a ruthless cannibal who loves to tear apart and eat his victims. He carries around several pairs of scissors, which he uses both as weapons and to cut the hair of his targets to activate his Nen ability, Scissor Hands. By cutting his target's hair with his favorite pair of scissors and eating it, Binault can learn any physique-related information about his opponent. It's with this ability that he realized Biscuit's actual age and strength. As a kid, Binault was shy, lonely, and poor. When he found a woman's purse in a back alley and tried to return it, the woman and her boyfriend assumed that he had stolen it. They beat him up and left him barely conscious, as he sees a broken pair of scissors also lying on the floor next to him. This traumatic experience led to him becoming a serial killer. At some point, he entered Greed Island with the goal of taking down as many players as possible, but unfortunately for him, he chose the wrong target in Bisky, who turned him into a sparring machine for both Gon and Killua. He eventually realized the error of his ways, and promised to turn himself into the authorities as soon as he leaves the game. And really quick, if you enjoy straight to the point anime explained content like this, then make sure to subscribe and turn those notifications on, because that's all we do here. We post videos every 5 days, and take suggestions from you in the comment section, so this is the best place to learn about all sorts of anime and manga. But anyway, Chrollo Lucifer is one of the most complex and formidable characters in Hunter x Hunter. As the leader of the Phantom Troop, also known as the Spiders, Chrollo is both feared and respected within the world of criminals and Nen users. He's calm, intelligent, and highly strategic. Chrollo's Nen ability Skill Hunter is one of the most versatile and powerful abilities in the series. Skill Hunter allows Chrollo to steal the Nen abilities of others, provided he fulfills certain conditions. Once an ability is stolen, Chrollo can use it as his own, by storing it in his bandit's secret book. The book contains pages dedicated to each stolen ability, and Chrollo must have the book open to the corresponding page to utilize the ability. Some of the notable abilities Chrollo has stolen include the Sun and Moon, an ability that allows him to place explosive marks on his targets, which detonate when the marks come into contact with each other. There's also Gallery Fake, which he got from Cortopi, which is an ability that creates perfect replicas of objects by touching them. He also had Order Stamp, a stamp that allows Chrollo to control anyone or anything it touches, as long as they meet the conditions of the ability. And there's Lovely Ghostwriter, an ability that allows the user to predict someone's future in the form of a poem. Chrollo originated from Meteor City, a junkyard city inhabited by outcasts. People who live there do not exist in any official records, and the existence of the city itself is known by very few people. One day, Krollo, who was 11 years old at the time, along with Franklin and Shalnark, found a new VHS tape in a pile of garbage. Krollo decided to translate the film's content and create a dubbed version with his friends, which they then turned into live shows for all the kids of Meteor City to enjoy. However, one day, one of their friends, Sarasa, failed to show up to one of them, causing the others to go looking for her. To Krollo's horror, he discovers the dismembered body of Sarasa in a black sack hanging from a tree. This set Krollo on a mission for revenge by making Meteor City into a hub of crime and violence, in order to eventually draw in Sarasa's murderers. With this plan, the Phantom Troop was created. Hina, also known as Hina-chan, is a Chimera Ant, who was a key player in the Chimera Ant arc. Initially serving under Liol, Hina eventually defects from the Chimera Ant army and decides to live a life on her own terms. Hina's Nen ability allows her to remove Nen-based restrictions or conditions placed on others. This ability is particularly useful in negating the effects of other Nen abilities that have lingering or binding effects. For example, she can remove curses, seals, and other kinds of Nen-based constraints. However, when she does so, her belly inflates with the aura extracted afterwards, giving her the appearance of being pregnant. This essentially makes her a Nen exorcist. Hina's early life as a Chimera Ant was spent serving under Liol, a high-ranking officer in the Chimera Ant army. During this time, she was primarily involved in the army's efforts to expand their territory and gather more humans for their queen. However, as the arc of the story progresses, she's shown to be less and less interested in serving her primal ant duties to serve the king, and more interested in her own personal pleasures. After the death of the Chimera Ant King and the disbandment of the army, Hina teams up with Bizef and Welfin to travel to Meteor City in hopes of finding Gyro. Kurapika is one of the main protagonists in Hunter x Hunter, and a member of the Kurta clan, a group of people known for their scarlet eyes. When Kurapika's emotions are heightened, his eyes turn bright red, a trait highly coveted by black market collectors. Kurapika's Nen abilities are centered around his intense desire for vengeance. His primary ability, Chain Jail, allows him to conjure a chain that can bind and immobilize his target, suppressing their aura and rendering them helpless. This ability is bound by a strict condition. It can only be used on members of the Phantom Troop, greatly increasing its power. Kurapika also possesses the ability known as Emperor Time, which activates when his eyes turn scarlet. Emperor Time allows Kurapika to achieve 100% proficiency in all Nen categories, enabling him to use abilities outside his natural category of conjuration with maximum efficiency. However, the drawback is significant, because every second using Emperor Time shortens Kurapika's lifespan by 1 hour. This ability is what makes Kurapika a specialist, although temporarily. In addition to Chain Jail and Emperor Time, Kurapika has developed several other abilities using his chains. This includes Dowsing Chain, a chain with a ball at the end that Kurapika uses for various purposes including tracking, interrogation, and combat. Then there's Judgment Chain, a chain that Kurapika can insert in the heart of his target, imposing a condition that, if violated, will result in instant death. Next there's Holy Chain, which can cure even serious injuries on Kurapika instantly, and Steel Chain, which upon piercing a target's body, drains their aura and steals one of their Nen abilities. Finally, there's Stealth Dolphin, which is a dolphin-like Nen beast, which can equip and analyze abilities stolen by Steel Chain. With this ability, the stolen Nen ability can also be transferred to another person. Kurapika's story is driven by his quest for revenge against the Phantom Troop, who massacred his clan and stole their scarlet eyes. He's first seen using his various abilities to great effect in his confrontation with Uvogin, a member of the Phantom Troop. Using his Chain Jail ability, Kurapika is able to subdue and even kill Uvogin, marking the first step in his journey of revenge. However, this victory comes at a cost, as Kurapika begins to grapple with the moral implications of his actions and the toll that this quest for revenge is taking on his soul. Melioran is a Chimera Ant who is a high-ranking officer of the Ant Queen. Unlike many of his fellow Chimera Ants, Melioran possesses a strong sense of morality, and eventually becomes an ally to the protagonists in their fight against the Chimera Ant King. Melioran's Nen ability God's Accomplice allows him to turn himself and anyone he's in physical contact with completely invisible. This ability is incredibly powerful in that it not only renders Melioran and his ally invisible, but it also completely erases their presence, making them undetectable by any means, including Nen. However, God's Accomplice has a major limitation. Melioran must hold his breath for the ability to remain active. If he exhales, the invisibility is broken. In addition to God's Accomplice, Melioran can also use an ability called Perfect Plan. This ability is similar to God's Accomplice in that it allows Melioran to turn invisible, but it only applies to himself and does not require him to hold his breath. While less powerful than God's accomplice, Perfect Plan is highly effective for both stealth and reconnaissance. He was originally a loyal servant of the Chimera Ant Queen, and served as one of her squad leaders. However, once King Meruem was born, Melioron harbored a deep resentment towards the king and the Chimera Ant hierarchy. His hatred for Meruem stemmed from the fact that the king had killed Melioron's adoptive father from his human life, who was also a Chimera Ant named Peggy. This leads Melioron to defect from the army, and seeks out the hunters to join their cause. Melioron's defection is a significant moment in the Chimera Ant arc, as it marks the first time a Chimera Ant willingly chooses to ally with the humans. His abilities were crucial in the hunters' plan to assassinate the king, particularly in the infiltration of the king's palace. Neferpitou, often referred to simply as Pitou, is one of the 3 royal guards who served under Meruem. Pitou is a highly skilled and powerful Nen user, and their loyalty to the king is absolute. Pitou's Nen ability, Dr. Blythe, is a giant conjured doll used to treat any injury surgically. It's equipped with countless medical tools that can be used to provide first aid and perform major surgeries. In addition to Dr. Blythe, Pitou possesses a general puppeteering ability that takes control of a target through strings of aura that attaches to them. Finally, Terpsichore is an ability that conjures a ballerina-like puppeteer that takes control of Pitou themselves, enhancing their strength and speed. This ability can even take effect after Pitou's death, invoking post-mortem Nen. Pitou's terrifying strength is put on full display when they brutally kill Kite, a close friend and mentor to Gon. This event sets the stage for one of the most intense confrontations in the series, as Gon becomes consumed with rage and seeks revenge against Pitou. Fueled by rage and grief, Gon sacrifices his own life force to achieve a form powerful enough to defeat Pitou. This gives him the power to easily kill them, who then uses Terpsichore to control her headless body and take out one of Gon's arms. Neon Nestrad is a young girl with a unique and highly sought-after Nen ability. She's the daughter of Light Nestrad, a mafia boss who uses her ability to expand his influence and wealth. Despite her father's criminal background, Neon herself is somewhat naive and detached from the violent world around her. Neon's Nen ability, Lovely Ghostwriter, allows her to predict the future by writing poems in a trance-like state. Each poem she writes provides detailed information about future events, often foretelling deaths or other significant occurrences. These predictions are highly accurate, making Lovely Ghostwriter an incredibly valuable ability, especially in the world of organized crime. The poems are written in a specific format, and each stanza corresponds to a different aspect of the future. Neon's ability is unique in that it doesn't directly harm others, but it can have significant indirect consequences. Her predictions are highly sought after by those in power, as they can be used to manipulate events and gain an advantage over rivals. Neon's ability becomes a central plot point during the York New City arc, where her predictions attract the attention of the Phantom Troop. Krollo Lucifer, a fellow specialist, successfully steals Neon's ability using a skill hunter ability. Later in the series, it's revealed that Krollo no longer has this ability in his book, alluding to a potentially grim fate for Neon in the end, as one of the only known ways an ability could disappear from his book is if the original user dies. Pakunoda was a member of the Phantom Troop and one of its founding members. She was deeply loyal to the group and served as its primary information gatherer, using her unique Nen ability to extract information from others. Pakunoda's ability, called Memory Bomb, allows her to extract and read the memories of others simply by touching them. She can then share these memories with others by firing them as memory bullets from her gun, which implants the memories directly into the minds of the targets. This ability makes Pakunoda an invaluable asset to the Phantom Troop, as she can quickly gather and disseminate critical information. Memory Bomb is a specialist ability that is both powerful and dangerous. It requires physical contact with the target, making it a highly invasive technique. Pakunoda's ability to implant memories into others also raises questions about consent and the manipulation of one's thoughts, adding a psychological dimension to her power. Pakunoda's backstory is closely tied to her role in the Phantom Troop. As one of its founding members, she was deeply involved in the group's activities from the beginning. Pakunoda's most significant moment occurs during the York New City arc, where she's captured by Kurapika. Kurapika then uses his Judgment Chain ability to place a Nen dagger in her heart, imposing a condition that she must not reveal any information about him to her fellow troop members. If she breaks the condition, she will die. Despite this, Pakunoda chooses to share the information she gathered with the other members of the troop, knowing full well this would result in her death. Leol was a Chimera Ant that resembled an anthropomorphic lion. Before the death of the Chimera Ant Queen, he was known as Hagia, and one of the more particularly disloyal squadron leaders. His Nen ability was bestowed on him by Shiapoof after he spent 3 days in a cocoon. Leol's Nen ability is called Rental Pod. It allows him to temporarily borrow the Nen ability of other people. Leol must fulfill 2 conditions for each ability that he wants to borrow. First, he must know the name of the ability or have seen it being used. Second, he must do the owner of the ability a favor and confirm acceptance of the debt with a question, along the lines of saying something like, "You owe me on this one." Once Leol fulfills the conditions, the name of the owner, the ability, and the number of times it can be used, which is once per favor done for the owner, are all automatically recorded in the IOU dispenser, a small device resembling an iPod. If the owner of the ability dies, their information is automatically erased, and their ability can no longer be used. To access a borrowed Nen ability, Leol uses the dispenser to print out a ticket and tears it up, which grants him the use of the ability for 1 hour. During this time, the ability cannot be used by its original owner. The IOU dispenser can double as a portable music player, which Leol occasionally uses to keep track of how long he's been using an ability, by playing 1 hour long albums. Through this device, Leol can also verify the status of any of the targets he can borrow an ability from. He's able to adapt very quickly to his borrowed abilities, identifying their main strengths efficiently and selecting the most suited to the situation. However, he's not as skilled when it comes to recognizing their downsides. For example, like how he didn't know the water summoned by Inamura would not recede after disengaging the technique because he was underground. Renko is an inhabitant of Meteor City's Kirimori Valley. She worked as an embalmer and was Machi's mentor in the art of Nen. Renko has the power to repair damaged human corpses by embalming them, which she calls her special ability, implying that it's her Nen ability. After the death of Sarasa, the children of Meteor City, including the soon-to-be Phantom Troop, went to visit her casket. They're astonished by how Sarasa looked so perfectly restored, even claiming that she still looked alive. After seeing this, Machi asks Renko if she can teach her to do the same, but Renko claims it's her special ability that lets her do so. However, it's believed that Machi developed her own Nen ability through learning from Renko. Saradnich Huigo-Ro is one of the most terrifying characters introduced in Hunter x Hunter. He's the fourth prince of the Kakin Empire, and one of the participants in the Succession War, a deadly battle among the royal family members to determine the next ruler of the empire. Saradnich is a sadistic and cruel individual, with a deep fascination for art and the macabre. Saradnich's Nen ability is called Parallel Future. When he closes his eyes and activates Zetsu, he receives a vision, which he refers to as precognition or a dream of the following 10 seconds. The vision is instantaneous. No time passes in the present between its beginning and its end, which are signaled by a sound and a visual pattern similar to static on a television. If after those ephemeral 10 seconds, he does not open his eyes or rescind his Zetsu, time outside of his premonition resumes moving as normal, but he continues to see 10 seconds into the future. In this state, Saradnich can see and hear what passes in his vision, while at the same time perceiving what occurs outside of it, and recovers his ability to move. After Saradnich rescinds the precognition part of his ability, a subsequent stage of the ability begins, and everyone who is shown in the vision, except for Saradnich himself, will perceive the next 10 seconds unfold exactly as he predicted, even if Saradnich uses his foreknowledge to change his course of action. It's truly a complicated ability that has many of its details yet to be sorted out. As a prince of the Kakin Empire, he was raised in luxury and given every advantage in life. However, his upbringing also fostered a sense of entitlement and a complete disregard for the lives of others. Saradnich's fascination with death and the macabre led him to commit heinous acts of violence, including the brutal murder of innocent people for his own amusement. He views the Succession War as a game, and he takes pleasure in the suffering of his siblings as they're eliminated one by one. Saradnich's cruelty and ambition make him one of the most dangerous participants in the war, as he is willing to do whatever it takes to win. What's truly stunning about his power as a specialist is that he's relatively new to Nen altogether. He didn't even know what his Nen ability was until he was shot in the head by Theta, one of his bodyguards that was secretly trying to kill him. This means that Parallel Future might still be in its early stages and could grow stronger over time. Omokage is a character from the Hunter x Hunter movie Phantom Rouge, and is considered non-canon to the main story, so we're not going to spend much time covering him here. He was the former number 4 Spider of the Phantom Troop, and had the ability to create dolls who took the form of whoever the target thinks of most. He could also fuse dolls into himself, and use the Nen abilities of whoever the dolls take the form of. It's also worth mentioning that Chimera Ant King Meruem is not on this list. He's technically classified as an emitter, but his ability of aura synthesis seems to fit the qualities of a specialist ability. I couldn't find anything that officially labeled him as a specialist, so I couldn't add him to this list. And with that being said, that was every Nen specialist in Hunter x Hunter. Let us know in the comments below if you enjoy this Hunter x Hunter content, and also let us know what Hunter x Hunter topic you want us to cover next. In the meantime though, click on the video you see on your screen right now to learn about every Dark Continent mystery in Hunter x Hunter.